Imagine walking into a village where the doors swing open in the wind, meals are still warm on the tables, but every single person is gone. No signs of struggle, no notes, nothing. Just emptiness. Sounds like a horror movie, right? Well, this actually happened. Today, we're diving into one of history's most unsettling mysteries, the case of the vanishing village. By the end of this video, you'll know the chilling details of what was found, the theories that tried to explain it, and the strange events that still happen in that area to this day. And I promise, you'll never look at quiet villages the same way again. It all began in the winter of 1930 in a small Inuit settlement on the shores of Lake Anjikuni, deep in the Canadian wilderness. Joe LaBelle, a fur trapper who knew the area well, arrived after a long trek. He was looking forward to warmth, conversation, and maybe a good hot meal. But as he approached, something felt wrong. The snow was untouched. No footprints. Not even the dogs barked. Joe would later recall. He entered the first cabin. Food was on the table, a pot still over the fire, but the fire had gone cold. In other houses, clothes were hung neatly, rifles rested on the walls. But no people. Even the sled dogs were found dead, still tied to their posts, starved despite being surrounded by food. The sense of frozen time was everywhere. Joe rushed to the nearest telegraph office, miles away, to alert the authorities. When the Royal Canadian Mounted Police arrived, they confirmed the unthinkable. The entire population, over 30 people, was gone. Even stranger, they found graves in the village cemetery dug up, and the bodies missing. Nearby, a strange blue light was reported in the sky, too large to be a star, too silent to be an aircraft. It was as if the entire place had been wiped clean by an invisible hand. Here's the part that still sends shivers down my spine. The villagers had left behind all weapons and belongings. If they were attacked, why leave without defending themselves? If they left willingly, why in the dead of winter without supplies? The press had a field day. Headlines screamed about mass abductions, alien visitations, and ancient curses. One theory suggested that the villagers were victims of a sudden mass hysteria, fleeing into the freezing wilderness. But without footprints or tracks, how could that be? Another pointed to UFOs. Remember, this was decades before the modern UFO craze, yet witnesses swore they saw lights in the sky over Lake Anjikuni around the time of the disappearance. Some whispered about revenge from spirits of the land, angered by hunting or trespassing on sacred grounds. It's easy to dismiss, but to the Inuit people, these were very real fears. Decades later, skeptics argued the story was exaggerated or fabricated by the media. Some claimed Joe LaBelle's account couldn't be verified. But here's where it gets tricky. Local oral histories still speak of the village that vanished. Some elders insist their grandparents knew the missing families personally. And hunters still report a strange humming sound near the old settlement site. Researchers who have visited the area describe an uncomfortable silence. Even birds avoid the spot. Whether that's psychological or something more, we can't say. There's one theory that sends the biggest shiver down my spine: ice quakes and thin reality. Some scientists suggest rare geological events might create infrasound low-frequency vibrations that cause panic, disorientation, even hallucinations. Could that have driven everyone out into the frozen night? But that still doesn't explain the dug-up graves, or the blue light in the sky. It leaves us with an uncomfortable thought. What if the answer is something we can't explain with science? Today, Lake Anjikuni is largely avoided. The old village site is overgrown, but people who camp nearby report feeling watched, hearing faint voices in the wind, seeing shadows moving against the snow. One camper even swears he saw lanterns moving between the trees at night. But when he called out, the lights simply vanished. So what happened to the people of Anjikuni Lake? Were they taken, driven away by fear, or pulled into something otherworldly? We may never know, but maybe, just maybe, mysteries like this are reminders that our world still holds uncharted corners where human understanding falters and the unknown waits. If you enjoyed this dive into the strange and unexplained, hit that subscribe button, drop your thoughts in the comments, and tell me, what do you think happened that night? Because somewhere out there, the answer is still waiting.